What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Rurouni Kenshin. This is episode 2, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Mm-hmm. Um, I wouldn't say like a lot happened to this episode, but I'm pretty sure this I've seen this type of episode when I back in the original anime. Of course, this episode mostly
I was gonna say, like,
us to one of the
I was gonna say, if I remember correctly, like in the original anime, they did in the beginning, at least, they had like different episodes to introduce like the different cast of characters. Like I do think they had an episode which was just dedicated to introducing like the character we see in this episode, Yahiko, and then maybe like another few episodes was the I forget what the other guy was, but he ends up fighting Kenshin, and then sort of like joining up with them.
Yeah, I think it was the other guy you mean is Sagara. But yeah, so we do get introduced to Yahiko in this episode, who happens to come across Kenshin and Kaoru going out in the market shopping, while all of a sudden Yahiko suddenly just robs Kenshin of his money bag or wallet. But then of course Kenshin and Kaoru end up catching him, but Kenshin allows him to take his bag out of pity, but Yahiko just throws it back at him, saying he doesn't want his pity, and of course he just runs off soon after that. But then we realize Yahiko's working with these abusive group of loan sharks, so he pretty much he has until until later in the afternoon or the evening to get them their money. Otherwise, they're gonna physically punish him if he doesn't.
Yeah.
But much of the second half of this episode later shows off Kenshin confronting these corrupt police officers, just pretty much abusing their power because they carry swords. And of course, as we all know, during the Meiji era, there was the Sword Prohibition Act, which prohibits even regular citizens from carrying around katanas around their waistline. So, pretty much I like I said, I remember this type of episode back in the original anime, with these policemen just wielding their swords. Pretty much, abusing the power, pretty much like harassing different citizens because they were carrying swords. So just when they're about to attack Kaoru, Kenshin comes in and pretty much stops their abusive antics. And this, of course, this brings the attention of one of Kenshin's former allies from before the Meiji era. I think his name is Yamagata Aritomo, who's actually like a real life politician from back then. Yeah, he's technically an actual real life person. So, so he's actually, like I said, he's a former ally of Kenshin from the previous era, and he offers Kenshin a job or a position in the new era, because the age of the samurai is ending, and the Japan does, of course, is starting to industrialize with all this new technology that they're getting from the West. But of course, Kenshin denies his offer and decides to just instead continue his own way of life, just pretty much going about it, as a pacifist now.
Yeah. I do remember something like this also happening in the live action movie where the police apprehend Kenshin, and they I think one of the government officials asked Kenshin to join them because he recognizes Kenshin as being somebody who was involved in the war, and offers him a job working for them, and he turns them down.
Yeah, because like I said, Kenshin doesn't want to go back to his killing ways, because he's pretty much done with all that. He doesn't want to be associated with the name Batosai anymore. So he rather just live a more peaceful life. Of course, like living his life with Kaoru instead of just going back to working with the government again.
Yeah, and of course he also mentions that his sword is more like I guess an exception. It's not a typical sword. It's the reverse blade. So he figures like he should be allowed to, I guess, walk around with it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, soon after that, we see Yaiko. Of course, Yaiko witnesses Kenshin's fight against the corrupt police officers, and this, of course, inspired him. I guess in a way, inspire him to wield a sword, because he mentions to Kenshin that he's a descendant of of a previous samurai warrior. So of course, Yaiko gets confronted by the loan sharks again, and this time, of course, they don't take a liking for him of not being able to come up with the money. But of course, Yaiko, of course, stays defiant against these guys, and that's where the episode ends.
Yeah, I think he also give the give, I guess, the money, some money he'd stolen back from this old woman or something.
Well, actually, he saw this old woman accidentally drop this money bag. So instead of wanting to take it for himself, he decides to just to give it back to this old woman, which of course this leads him into this situation which he's facing off these loan sharks again.
Yeah. But yeah, like you mentioned, not a lot of stuff really. I mean, not too much really happened in this episode, and I kind of got a little bit reassured, just based on how the episode, I guess the pace of the episode, because it felt a lot slower than the last one, because I was a little bit concerned when I watched the first episode, because I was a little bit concerned that maybe they were going to sort of rush through the story arcs just to get to maybe end it in one season or something, but it seems like they're adapting it, sort of the same way as with the original anime. I mean, or at least in terms of its pacing. So
yeah, it seems like they're readapting almost the exact same scenes as the original anime series, because I remember this part very clearly back from way back when. I mean, heck, you can watch the original anime. I'm pretty sure it's the original anime is on Crunchyroll right now, but people can understand, what I'm talking about if people watch this episode and compare this to the original one.
But yeah, I mean, so far it's been pretty good. I haven't really been too disappointed with it or anything, but again, I'm mostly just basing my information of the series based on I've seen some of the beginning of the original series, and I've seen the live action movies. And I know, of course, the live-action movies probably skip over quite a bit of stuff too, but that's kind of what I'm basing some of, what I'm seeing off of. And of course, it seems like the live-action movies did make their own changes from what I'm seeing in comparison to that. But yeah, I mean, so far the anime's been pretty good. Don't really have too many complaints about it, but I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't have too much else to say about the episode, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting much either, because I pretty much knew if they were trying to readapt this anime, that they were gonna have to go through a lot of the same story arcs that they did before. So I wasn't too surprised on what they showcased here. I think it's the main purpose of these next few first sets of episodes is introduce, or you could say reintroduce, a lot of the main cast from from the anime, not only Kenshin, Kaoru, but also Yaiko and Sagar as well.
And I mean, as well, based off of the trailers and the characters we know that are going to show up, I'm assuming at least that at least the majority of this season, if not the whole season, might be focused on the story arc that was adapted in the first movie, with that one guy who was, I forget, I think he was a doctor, corrupt doctor or something. Because we did see that, that other character who was who was also a doctor of this woman in one of the trailers, and she's another character that joins them. So I'm wondering if that's going to be like a major focus of the first season, if they're going to have the majority of the season focus on that before moving on to what happens later. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.